Hi people, this is Jada. You know, when you expect from a person a wonderful way of talking, a wonderful way of arguing just because of their role or because of their job or because of something like that, and then you get disappointed by this person. Well, I am talking about this because some time ago I was really disappointed by a professor. He was a law professor. He spoke in a really specific and technical way. I think he wrote something like 100 books on law, and one day I just heard him say something like, "Oh, yeah, I was in this meeting and there was this girl who was the student representative of the university, and this girl was complaining about the university fees being too high in our university and in Italian university in general." And yeah, guys, you have to know that in Italy, unfortunately, university fees are quite higher than the other ones in Europe. So yeah, that's a serious matter and that's a serious problem. And then the professor kept going, and he said something, "Oh yeah, I wanted to say to this girl that in America, actually, the fees of university are really higher, and so that she couldn't complain about the fees in Italy." And I was like, really? Have you really said something about it? When you are a professor, you are a lawyer, and you use this way to argue, that's really insane. Because, you know, it's a fallacious argument. You are just using whataboutism. If we all talk about this, then I could say, yeah, in Italy, we have a problem regarding women's rights. Actually, in Italy, each woman has been catcalled in her life a lot of times. In Italy, we haven't reached yet an equal salary for women and men. In Italy and in other countries, each day women are killed or beaten by their husbands and by their ex-husbands or boyfriends or ex-boyfriends or whatever. But actually, you know the situation in Afghanistan? You know, in Afghanistan, women can't study. Women have to cover themselves. In Afghanistan, women can't move without the presence of a male relative. In Afghanistan, a woman can be shot or stoned after trials that are ridiculous. So I can't complain about the situation in Italy, and that's really crazy. Actually, I'm not saying that the situation in Afghanistan is not important. I think we should think each day about the situation in Afghanistan, and we should find some ways to help the people there, because the situation, especially for women, is fucking terrible. But it's not a way of arguing. Whataboutism is not a way of arguing, especially if it is used by a professor, because you're not like really have a dialogue with the other person. You're not destroying the arguments of the other person in a logical way, in rational ways, using data or something like that. you're just shifting the focus on another issue, and it is not a rational way to speak, to say just, oh yeah, that's true, but actually there are some events, there are some situations that are more terrible than this one, so let's speak about something else. And the thing that worries me is that this type of fallacious argument is used by people who has a really important role in society, like professors, like, I don't know, lawyers, but especially by politicians. And this is really dangerous, because whataboutism is really useful if you don't want to answer to some questions like regarding rights or political matters, and it is really useful if you want to convince people with slogans and things like that. And so it is dangerous if people don't recognize the whataboutism and they really listen to a politician who can't or don't want to speak in a logical and rational way about political issues. This is really dangerous. And by the way, we have a lot of examples, like you want to debate about something like the grants of citizenship to people, but then you hear a politician who says, oh yeah, but you know, there are social matters that are more important. And then there are people who are waiting for citizenship since a lot of years, and maybe they were also born in the country, but they don't have the citizenship of the country because of political matters and because of the fact that politicians don't want to talk about it, or about, I don't know, we want to make a law to protect LGBTQ rights people rights, but you hear the right-wing politician who just say, actually, there is the economical crisis. Why do we have to think about these issues? Well, okay, there is the economical crisis, but actually, each day, people of the LGBTQ community are discriminated, and they are victims of a lot of types of violences. So we have to talk about it. Or, I don't know, about animals' rights. You hear a politician who say, oh, really? We are talking about animals, right? We have problems with the humans. Why do we have to care about animals? Well, man, it isn't a way of arguing, because, I don't know, I could say to a factory worker who doesn't want us to take care of animals, well, man, why should we take care of the security of your work, of your job in the factory, if in Congo there are some children who are dying in the mines because they have to give us the materials to make our phones? You know, it is crazy, and it's not a new thing. Whataboutism. Also, I'm showing it to you. This is the page of newspaper, an Italian newspaper after the Second World War, who says we are dying of hunger, but we are thinking just to give the vote to women. Yeah, man, we are dying of hunger, but we should speak about the most important civil right, which is the right to vote for women, you know? So, yeah, that's it. And I think also that sometimes it happens that there are people who want to shift the focus on another issue. So there are people who use whataboutism, but they shift the focus on themes and issues that actually are less important than the one of which you are speaking. Like in Italy, it happens quite a lot of times that if you are talking about Shoah or about Holocaust, you meet people who say, oh yeah, but you are always talking about Holocaust. Why don't you talk about the thousands of Italians who were killed just because they were Italians in Dalmatia at the end of the Second World War? Well, man, I'm not saying that it wasn't a slaughter, I'm not saying that it wasn't a massacre, but I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the Holocaust, and you can't pretend that the Holocaust and the Shoah is less important just because thousands of Italians were slaughtered at the end of the Second World War. Also because the Holocaust killed millions of people in the most systematic way possible. And it happens also with other issues. I don't know, for example, it happens that when you speak about violence against women, there are people who say, oh yeah, but there is violence also against men. Yeah, sure, there is violence against men. It is terrible, but I'm simply not speaking about it. I'm speaking about violence against women, you know. So yeah, that's it. The thing that I just wanted to say in this video is that we have to be on our guard against fallacious arguments that can be used also by people that for their roles should always use logical and rational arguments and scientific arguments. We have to identify these fallacious arguments, and one of them, the one that maybe is most used especially by politicians, is whataboutism. So we have to recognize it in order to protect ourselves and to reason in a logic way, not in the way that the politician wants us to think. That's all. If you are talking to a person who is using fallacious arguments, you don't have to shift and to talk about the other theme, other issue that the person is proposing to you. You just have to say to this person, okay, man, do you want to talk about this topic or not? Or we talk about this topic in a rational, logic way, or we just don't talk about it. If you want to shift the attention, to focus on another issue, then it's better if we don't talk about the first issues, you know? And that's all. Sometimes you have to say it also to some professors, to some university law professors who are also lawyers. That's crazy. I really can't understand how it was possible that my professor really said that since in America they pay a lot of taxes and the university fees is so high, in Italy we can't complain about our university fees. That's insane. That's really crazy. I don't know, but yeah, that's true. That's all. And if you like the video, just put a like, put some comments below it, and please share eat. That's the most important thing. And see you soon.